On Iran, two questions, please. First, if you can give us more details about where the meeting on Saturday is going to take place.
I can't tell you that. I can just tell you there's a major meeting going on between us and Iran, and that'll take place on Saturday, and it's at top level.
And the second question about this. A lot of people think that those talks are not going to lead anywhere because the Iranians will never give up.
Sure. I think that's a possibility, too.
If diplomacy fails, is the United States, under your leadership, ready to take military action to destroy the Iranian nuclear program and remove this threat?
I think if the talks aren't successful with Iran, I think Iran is going to be in great danger. And I hate to say it, great danger, because they can't have a nuclear weapon.
So is that a yes?
You know, it's not a complicated formula. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's all there is.
So
can't have it.
Ready?
Right now we have countries that have nuclear power that shouldn't have it, but I'm sure we'll be able to negotiate out of that too as part of this later on down the line. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the talks aren't successful, I actually think it'll be a very bad day for Iran if that's the case.
Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. And I just want to touch, quickly, Lord willing, on this article coming from Reuters. It says, exclusive, Iran poised to dismiss U.S. nuclear proposal, Iranian diplomat says. And, if you've been paying attention, which I pray that all of the sincere men and women of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai have been, as we are watching the end times, right, or the end time prophecies unfold, right, the effect of every vision, being at hand, which, these things are a sign unto the elect of our redemption drawing nigh. And there has been talks, with America and Iran, trying to come to some peace deal concerning Iran's nuclear program, which, as you've seen in the article, the video, before the video started, I posted it in a post-production, that was of Trump a few months ago, 144 called Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. That was of Trump a few months ago, basically giving a warning or the threat, however you want to put it, to Iran that if they don't come to some deal, right, nuclear deal that is in favor, of the United States, right, something that they deem as being a favorable deal, then the only other option is to bomb Iran, right, bomb Iran's nuclear facilities, which Trump has spoken about, multiple different occasions. And, as of late, he's been kind of speaking in a peace mindset or rhetoric when it comes to the Iranian deal, right? I think it was just last week. He said that they were close, on a deal. And of course, he's an entertainer, right? I can't even call him a politician, but, he's an entertainer, and he knows how to galvanize, these people that believe, in his administration and believe that he is the guy that's going to bring America into the golden age, create a long-lasting peace, stability, and wealth in America. So when he says things like that, right, that the Iranian deals are going well, our talks are going well, and there is a potential for a deal, soon, for us that understands prophecy and understands, the will of the Lord, we don't put too much weight into what this guy says, right? Because it is the determination of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai that it's going to stand, right? And, that's why we filter everything that is happening through the scriptures. Okay. But nonetheless, he has been telling the American people, right, the American public, that the talks are going well. Whereas here, right, coming from Reuters, they're saying the Iranian diplomat is saying that Iran is poised to dismiss the U.S. nuclear proposal because they, just sent the Iranians a proposal on a deal. Okay, and I believe this was the 5th meeting that they had. The latest one they had was in Rome, which is interestingly enough as well, because we know that America is the second leg of Rome, all right, the second beast that exercised, all of the power of the first beast, right, which America being, that spearhead, of the revival of the ancient Roman Empire, right, along with the EU, comprising of the NATO countries, right, America being that whore that rise upon that beast. So, it's fitting that they would have these talks in Rome. But let's read this article. It says, Dubai, January 2nd, which is today, right? Monday, January 2nd. It says Iran is poised to reject a U.S. proposal to end a decades-old nuclear dispute. An Iranian diplomat said on Monday, dismissing it as a, quote, non-starter that fails to address Tehran's interests or softens Washington's stance on uranium enrichment. Iran is drafting a negative response to the U.S. proposal, which could be interpreted as a rejection of the U.S. offer, the senior diplomat who is close to Iran's negotiating team told Reuters. Okay. Now, remember, as that clip showed, that Trump said if they do not come to a peace deal, then it's going to be, quote, very, very bad, right, for Iran, right? There's been numerous different occasions where he said that he will bomb Iran if a deal isn't reached, okay? As of late, he said that he told Netanyahu, which a lot of this is all just political posturing, right? A lot of it is all just, the whole political theater, right? The whole, what is appearing to be some type of tension between Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump, because Netanyahu wants to go and, strike the nuclear facilities of Iran, but he wants the American backing. And then Trump is telling Netanyahu that it's not appropriate to do it just yet because peace deals are going well. But here it is that the Iranian diplomat is saying that, the proposal that the United States just gave is something that there is a non-starter, right? It's not even close to what the Iranians is looking for. Okay. And you had the Ayatollah of Iran said last week that, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that he doesn't think that the talks are going to go anywhere. Okay. Matter of fact, let me see if I can can't never spell his name. Let's see. Ayatollah says doesn't think talks going anywhere with U.S. See what comes up. Right. See? So this is just on May 21st, and I'm not going to read the article, but I can't even see that one. Too many pop-ups. But from Reuters, right? May 20th, Iran Supreme Leader Khamenei doubts success of U.S. talks with the U.S. So if the Supreme Leader, right, voiced doubts on Tuesday, right? So this was back in May 20th, whether nuclear talks with the United States will lead to an agreement. Okay. And that's also because he doesn't trust the United States, right? He doesn't trust America and, their intentions, right? What they are claiming that, they want a fair deal. So really, these talks are all just pointless, right? These are all vain things, but it's also a part of the Lord's, story, right? It's part of the Lord's will, because while these talks are going on, what also is, as we see, is speeding up is this beast system, right? So the Lord is having these things happen all at the same time purposely, so that as this beast system continues to grow and become more and more of a become more and more alive, right? Become more and more ingrained in society and takes over and reshapes the economy. Okay. At the same time, the Lord is having these war talks become more and more frictional, right? There's more and more friction with these war talks, because remember, not only is America trying to negotiate a deal with Iran, but they're over, in Eastern Europe, right, trying to create some peace between the Russians and the Ukrainians. And you just had Trump last week tell Putin that he's playing with fire, right? Trump tells Putin playing with fire, right? So as you see here, Trump says, matter of fact, let's see.
President Donald Trump is slamming Russian President Vladimir Putin after Russia's largest aerial bombardment since the start of the war killed dozens of Ukrainians.
Is that if it weren't for me, what Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad.
So they didn't say the last part, but as you see there, he said what? He is playing with fire. Okay. Playing with fire. And that's what's coming, right? As Yahweh Shai said, that he has come to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be not already kindled, right? Which when you read that in different translation, Luke, the 12th chapter, let's see, what was that, 49? Yep. Luke 12 and 49. Let's read that let's see what the AMP says. It says, right, I have come to cast fire, which is judgment, on the earth. All right, and that's what Yahweh Shai is coming with, pursuant to 2 Thessalonians 1 and 6 or 1 and 7, when Yahweh Shai comes in a flaming fire, taking vengeance upon all those that do not know the Lord and disobey the gospel. See, so that fire is not somewhere, underground, right? It's not in some netherworld called hell, but Yahweh Shai out of his own mouth said that he is coming to cast fire on the earth, and that fire will be the final judgment. All right, which is also known as the second death, which will be the complete, utter, fiery destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay, so it says, and how I wish that it were already kindled. Okay, which the word kindled means it was already started. Okay, let's look up kindled. It says aroused or inspired, right? Ignited, light, set alight, set on fire, put a match, set burning. So Yahweh Shai said he already wished that this earth, right, this age, okay, because as the Lord isn't going to destroy the whole entire planet Earth, but rather there's going to be a lot of places on the earth that are going to be, hit with fire, and America is going to be utterly destroyed with fire. Okay, so them talking about, Trump talking about Putin's playing with fire, right? Him saying that he is, if a peace deal doesn't happen with Iran, he's going to bomb them, right? And it said the likes of which they've never seen before. See? And then you just had the other day that China told Trump that he's playing with fire. China tells Trump he's playing with fire. So everybody's playing with fire. And why is that? Okay. Why is fire
this is your
being
brain
spoken
when
about
you're
so much? Slovakia, let's see. I didn't really want a video, but see what we get.
This will be off the record and frank discussion.
So it just says here, this is China warns U.S. not to play with fire on Taiwan's issue after Hegseth's remark at Shangri-La Dialogue, right? Which Hegseth is the Pentagon secretary, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and he basically, threatened China in so many words, over the whole Taiwan issue. And China responds and tells U.S. not to play with fire. So, America is involved in a lot of various different war fronts, right? Various different military, conflicts. Not so much physically yet, but the verbiage. And as the scripture says, right, Yahweh Shai told us that would be a sign of the end, right? Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, because what needs to happen before that is prophecy of the Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, the mark of the beast. Those things need to be fulfilled first. Okay. In the AMP, it says you will continually hear of wars and rumors of wars. And ever since 2021, if I'm not mistaken, in 2022, whenever Putin invaded Ukraine, ever since that time, it's just been constant war talk in various, different parts of the earth. All right. There's been a constant war going on, right? Because after that, then you had the whole October 7th with the 48ers and the Hamas. Then you had issues with Hamas and the 48ers in Iran, America and the Houthis, right? The Hezbollah and the 48ers. OK, now you have Russia and, the EU speaking, warlike, right? Having war rhetoric happening, okay, over there within the South Asian Pacific Sea, China, Taiwan, America. So there's nothing but just you got the trade wars, right? The tariff wars, economic wars. So it's just nothing but wars and rumors of wars that are happening, and a lot of people are afraid, of these things, right? Because what is being spoken about in this time? It's not just a military conflict. They're talking about World War III. All right. It's not just, you're about to go fight the Taliban in some Afghanistan mountains. Right. Nah, it's war against other capable nuclear empowered countries. Right. Oh, you had the thing with Pakistan and India. See, so as it says, you will continually hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened. All right. So for the ones that know what the truth is and know that these prophecies must come to pass, right? These things, when you hear about war and threats of a country that you live in being nuked, right, being attacked, to the unfaithful, right, to the ones that are of this world, that is something that is frightening. That's why they always talk about, pray, for America, pray for, cooler heads to prevail, pray, for peace, all these things. But no, that's not what the men of the Lord, that's not what the servants of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua are praying for. And the thing about it is that the Lord is hearing the prayers of his elect, which really he put it in our spirits to pray for these things because it's a part of his will. See? So if you're praying for something other than these things to take place, then you are, in essence, praying, you're being Satan, right? You're a Satanist. You're an adversary. Okay? So it says, see that you are not frightened, or see that you are not frightened. Those things must take place, but that is not the end. That is not yet the end of the age. All right? So this is why you have to measure the time diligently and, pay attention to the signs and know the succession of prophecies and what must take place first in order for something else to happen. Okay. But nonetheless, as we are seeing that the Lord is having all of these end time prophecies pieces all come together at the same time. Why? Because it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And as it says in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, to deliver them that are upon the earth. Right. Let me pull that up. 2nd Ezra 13, verse 29. It says, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. Okay. So the time is coming and the time is at hand where Yahweh, right, has determined that this is a time where he's going to deliver his elect, from the hands of their enemies. All right. So reading back here, it says the U.S. proposal for a new nuclear deal was presented to Iran on Saturday by Omani's foreign minister Saeed, who was on a short visit to Tehran and has been mediating talks between Tehran and Washington. After 5 rounds of discussions between Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Arakchi and President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, several obstacles remain. Among them are Iran's rejection of a U.S. demand that it commits to scrapping uranium enrichment and its refusal to ship abroad its entire existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium, possible raw material for nuclear bombs. Tehran says it wants to master nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and has long denied accusations by Western powers that it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons. In this proposal, the U.S. stance on enrichment on Iranian soil remains unchanged, and there is no clear explanation regarding the lifting of sanctions, said the diplomat, who declined to be identified due to the sensitivity of the matter. Arakchi said Tehran would formally respond to the proposal soon. The U.S. State Department declined to comment. You see? So you have Trump saying, oh, yeah, peace, peace deal looks to be soon and things are looking good. But that is, like I said, that is really a deception, that is keeping these Babylonians sleep, right? Keeping them in this careless state of mind, right? Because if you think peace is going to be the outcome, or if you think peace is imminent and near, then you're not going to be in a mindset, to be watching, right? You're not going to be in a mindset to be on heightened alert, as the scripture says, to be sober and be vigilant. Okay, and the word vigilant means to be give strict attention to, right? Yahweh Shai also spoke about take heed unto yourselves. Okay, but if you are being fed this lie of peace and safety, then you're not going to be vigilant. You're not going to take heed. You're not going to pay attention to what's happening. And that day is going to come upon you unawares. It's going to be a snare and a trap. See? So it says, just 1 second. I just seen something. All right. So it says, Tehran's demands the immediate removal of all U.S. imposed curbs that impair its oil-based economy. But the U.S. says nuclear-related sanctions should be removed in phases. Dozens of institutions vital to Iran's economy, including its central bank and national oil company, have been blacklisted since 2018 for according to Washington, supporting terrorism and weapon proliferation. Right. So, it's interesting how, Iran's central bank is something that has been blacklisted. Right. And we know who the central bankers are and how they control nations through the central bank system. Right. As Mayor Amschel Bauer, which was the forefather, of the Rothschilds, said, what? Give me control of a nation's money through their through the central banking system, and I care not who make the laws, right? And a lot of countries are in one way, shape, controlled by the central bankers of the world, right? The Amalekites, right? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Oppenheimers, so on and so forth, and the various different other names that Amalek hides under. Okay, but Iran is one of the countries that they don't, whose central bank they don't control. So that is why Iran's central bank, right, which is crucial for the economy, is being blacklisted. Reading on, it says Trump's revival of maximum pressure against Tehran since his return to the White House in January has included tightening sanctions and threatening to bomb Iran if negotiations yield no deal. And this article is going into the point that whatever proposal the U.S. came up with, Iran is poised to reject that, which means what? The negotiations are yielding no deal. During Trump's first term in 2018, Trump ditched Tehran's 2015 nuclear pact with 6 powers and reimposed sanctions that crippled Iran's economy. Iran responded by escalating enrichment far beyond the pact's limits, right? And, that's something that's always interesting as well when you think about it, right? Measuring the time. When Trump came into office his first term, he tore up unilaterally the deal that the Obama administration, which I believe Biden was the spearhead of that negotiation, the JCPOA, or JP or JPCOA or JCPOA, whatever. Biden was the spearhead of that negotiation and that deal. But yet when Biden came back into office, he never reinstated it, right? He never reimposed or tried to renegotiate that deal back. Okay, so that's something, that is interesting to see, right? Why didn't Biden in the 4 years that he was in office make another deal with Iran? What was this? Salakia, 1 second. So where it says, that's just recapping stuff. It says the diplomat said the assessments of Iran's nuclear negotiation committee under the supervision of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was that the U.S. proposal was completely one-sided and could not serve Tehran's interests. Therefore, the diplomat said Tehran's considered this proposal a, quote, non-starter. So it don't even start, right? It's not even nowhere near something that they could even consider, and believes it unilaterally attempts to impose a bad deal on Iran through excessive demands. Okay. So based off of this right here and seeing how these talks are yielding no fruit, right? These talks are not getting anybody closer to peace. that aligns perfectly with what the Lord said is going to take place, which is ultimately, the gathering of the nations to go to war, right? Starting, in that region of the so-called Middle East. All right, because it doesn't take much for this thing to fall apart. America, gives the okay, and they're not going to do it publicly, right? They'll give the okay to Netanyahu to go and bomb Tehran nuclear facilities, and then Iran will respond, and then that's when America says, "Oh, we got to defend Iran the 48ers because of our ironclad ally. They're an ironclad ally of ours, and we must defend them." And that just snowballs effects into a wider regional war, which then you get China involved, you get Pakistan or India involved, you get the other so-called Arab countries, Russia, and ultimately it's a big, Royal Rumble that leads to nukes flying. All right. But before the nukes fly, right, before America is, hit by nukes, there are prophecies, mainly that sea hip, that has to take place. Right. But this right here shows you that the road or the path that that this is leading to is only war. OK, it's only leading into war. OK, so let's get this real quick. Jeremiah 51, verse 28. It says, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, right, which the modern day Medes would be known as the Russians, right, because they are in that region. It says the captains thereof and all the rulers thereof in all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. All right. How is that going to happen? How is the land of Babylon the Great, which is this is the Babylon that Jeremiah is prophesying about. OK, prophetic Babylon. How is that land going to be without inhabitants? Well, it tells you in numerous scriptures, right? Isaiah, the 13th chapter being one of them, that these nations are going to shoot arrows at her. Matter of fact, also in Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, it says, go up, 15 verse 21, go up against the land of Marathaim, right, which means double bitterness, even against it and against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly, which the word utterly means completely, destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. See, a sound of battle, right? War. And when you are paying attention, right, and not just having your head stuck up your ass and being distracted with the vanities, right? It's clearly a sound of battle is being perpetuated throughout, this place, man, throughout the earth. Okay, every time you hear of some type of, whether it be Donald Trump or whether it be the Pentagon secretary, whoever it is, they're talking about war, right? They're talking about trying to stop war, or they're talking about wars coming. Okay, they're talking about war may be happening. Oh, it's always war, because we're in a time, right? As it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a season, right? Or should I say there's a purpose for every season. And the purpose of this season is what? As it says, there's a time of peace and there is a time of war. Okay, we're in a time of war right now. So when we go back to Jeremiah 51, verse 33, it says, for thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor, and it is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. See? So the Lord likened the daughter of Babylon, which is America, like a threshing floor. Okay. And when you know about, the ancient customs of a threshing floor, is basically, as it says, let's see, an analogy of an open area, barn or corn threshing floor. So let's read it here. It says, a leveled place of an open place before the gates of the city, specially used of a floor which corn is trodden out. Okay. So in the ancient world, you would have like what is known as a modern day barn, where you would basically take the corn, and that's where you would beat the corn, or you would beat the corn so it'll separate, right, the corn from the what is it, I can't think of the word right now, but basically it's used to separate the corn from the other part of it, right? I can't think of the word right now. All right, and the Lord is or like the grain from the other part of it, and the Lord is likening Babylon like a threshing floor, meaning what? It's time for this place to get trodden down, right? To thresh. Let's go into this word thresh. Let's see. Thresh. It says to tread, to bend, to lead, to march, to press. Okay? It says yet a little while. And that is why, even Yahweh Shai said that the end is not yet, but just a little while. Okay? Though it tarry, wait for it shall surely come. It will not tarry. So as we, are seeing these talks, basically come to no avail. Well, they come to avail for us, but it's no avail for the ones that are involved, the heathens that are involved, right? It's not producing any peaceful fruit, no peaceful end. That just shows us that just yet a little while, okay? And the time is going to come of her harvest. The time is going to come where the Lord is going to, trample this place. All right. NLT, it says, this is what the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of Israel, says. Babylon is like wheat on a threshing floor about to be trampled. In just a little while, her harvest will begin. All right. And also in the book of Joel, it talks about the sickle, right? Because the harvest is ripe. Joel 3, verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. All right. And part of that great wickedness, is, also the mind that this devil has to push this AI beast system. Okay. To completely try to change humanity into his image. Right. And to put his mark within the people of the Most High. Right. By way of coercing and creating and forming and fashioning a society to where you won't be able to survive unless you put this thing, inside of your flesh. See, so that wickedness is great. All right. And we can clearly see we're right there at that point as you see these think tanks and these leaders, right? Technocrats are talking about AI completely going to change humanity. It's, the fourth industrial revolution will not only change humanity, not only change society, it will change you. So their wickedness is very great, man. But at the same time, the Lord got this war also getting hotter and hotter and hotter. All right. So, I'm going to end it with that. Lord willing, this was edifying unto the elect, giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hawashai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Like I always say, keep watching. And stay in the spirit, so that you can be found worthy to escape these things. All right. So with that, until next time, shalom.